secret societies and elite networks. Who really controls global power? For centuries, two names have echoed through history. Whispered in financial circles, debated in political chambers, and demonized in conspiracy theories. Two dynasties accused of controlling banks, oil, politics, and even nations themselves. To some, they are visionary philanthropists who built the foundations of modern finance and industry. To others, they are puppet masters lurking in the shadows, weaving conspiracies that stretch across the globe. This is the story of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, families whose wealth and influence still spark fierce debate today. Were they simply successful entrepreneurs, or did they truly become the hidden rulers of the world? The Rothschilds, bankers of Europe. The Rothschild saga begins in the late 1700s, in the bustling but narrow streets of the Judengasse ghetto in Frankfurt, Germany. Here lived a Jewish coin dealer named Mayer Amschel Rothschild, 1744-1812. Mayer understood something most did not: that information, when combined with finance, could create unparalleled power. He began lending money to local princes and quickly realized that his business needed reach beyond Frankfurt. Mayer sent each of his 5 sons to a major European capital. These 5 brothers became the pillars of a vast banking web, a financial empire that stretched across Europe. By the early 1800s, the Rothschild network had grown into the most powerful financial dynasty the world had ever seen. At their peak, the Rothschilds' fortune was so immense that some estimates claimed it exceeded that of any royal family. One story, half legend and half fact, captures their influence. During the Napoleonic Wars, Rothschild couriers were said to deliver news faster than governments. In London, Nathan Rothschild allegedly learned of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo before anyone else. He supposedly used that knowledge to manipulate the bond market, earning a fortune while others panicked. Beyond finance, the Rothschilds' taste for luxury was unmatched. They acquired palaces across Europe, curated art collections rivaling kings, and their vineyards in France still produce some of the world's most prestigious wines. Their estates became symbols of a dynasty whose name was wealth itself. But with their fortune came suspicion. Conspiracy theories painted them as puppet masters controlling central banks, funding both sides of wars and secretly influencing governments. Some claims were wild exaggerations. Others felt disturbingly plausible. Even today, the Rothschild descendants remain scattered across finance, energy, and philanthropy. Though their wealth is no longer as concentrated as it once was, the name Rothschild has become shorthand for hidden financial power. The Rockefellers, America's oil dynasty. While the Rothschilds ruled finance in Europe, another empire was rising across the Atlantic. The story begins with John D. Rockefeller, born in 1839 in Richford, New York, to a poor family. His father was a traveling salesman of dubious reputation, while his mother instilled discipline and frugality. John started as a humble bookkeeper, but by his mid-20s, he had entered the oil refining business, and in 1870, he co-founded Standard Oil. What followed was the creation of America's first great monopoly. By the 1880s, Rockefeller controlled over 90% of U.S. oil production. His fortune, when adjusted for inflation, would be worth more than $400 billion today, making him the wealthiest man in modern history. Public outrage soon followed. Americans feared his domination of industry. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Standard Oil to be broken into dozens of smaller companies. The Rockefellers became America's first billionaire dynasty. Their estates were legendary. The Kikuit Mansion in New York stood as a fortress of wealth, while their sprawling ranches and priceless art collections reflected a cultural empire. But John D. Rockefeller did not stop with oil. The family reached into philanthropy and politics. In 1913, the Rockefeller Foundation was established. It poured billions into medical research, vaccines, education, and agriculture. Some credit it with helping to eradicate diseases like hookworm. Others argue it was also a tool for social engineering and political influence. The dynasty also embedded itself deeply into American politics. Nelson Rockefeller became Vice President of the United States under Gerald Ford. David Rockefeller, one of the last patriarchs, became one of the most connected bankers of the 20th century, meeting presidents, kings, and even Soviet leaders during the Cold War. And then there are the whispers. The Rockefellers have long been associated with elite global groups, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg Group. These gatherings of world leaders, CEOs, and royals were said to shape global policy behind closed doors. To many, the Rockefeller presence at these meetings symbolized hidden American power. So what's the truth? Both families were undeniably real. Their wealth was staggering. Their influence was unquestionable. The Rothschilds dominated European finance for centuries. The Rockefellers built modern corporate America. Together, they financed wars, built railroads, influenced governments, and created lasting institutions. But conspiracy theories blurred the lines. Did the Rothschilds truly control central banks? Did the Rockefellers really design global governance in back rooms? History shows that they wielded enormous power, but also that myths exaggerated their reach, turning them into near mythical figures. Secret societies and elite networks have only fueled these theories. Groups like the Bilderberg Conference, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission are often portrayed as puppet theaters where elites decide the fate of nations. The truth is more complex. Yes, these groups bring powerful people together, but whether they control the world is harder to prove. Still, one fact remains. When wealth is concentrated into just a few hands, its influence is almost limitless. Where do these dynasties stand today? The Rothschild family is no longer the single financial giant it once was, but its descendants remain influential. Many serve as bankers, investors, or philanthropists, and their vineyards and estates still carry the family name. Their combined wealth is far smaller than during their 19th century peak, but the legacy remains. The Rockefellers, too, have diversified. The family still manages billions through Rockefeller Capital Management and remains active in philanthropy. In the 21st century, their wealth has shifted towards sustainable energy, climate initiatives, and global think tanks. While neither family dominates as they once did, their names have become more than dynasties. They are symbols of how wealth translates into power. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, two dynasties separated by an ocean, but united by a single reality, that concentrated wealth can bend the world. Fact or myth, their legacies endure. They remind us that behind the headlines of presidents, parliaments, and corporations, there are often families and networks whose influence is harder to see but impossible to ignore. Money buys power. Power shapes the world. And families like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers show us that sometimes the greatest empires are not nations, but names. For more deep dives into hidden dynasties and secret networks, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Crown Syndicate. Because understanding who really runs the world is the first step to understanding how it actually works.